Welcome back, everybody. Fnatic is just one win away from joining Origin in the summer finals. The teams are getting ready for Game 3. They're Unicorns. It's raining a little bit like it was on the Rift for them, sadly enough, in the previous 2 games, although it got better in Game 2. They had a better early game. The Ezreal got ahead, but then it just shows how many times that Fnatic is so much better in any given situation.
I think this game really highlighted the fact that Fnatic always have a plan in what they're doing. Because even though they're behind in gold, it felt like always UOL were following them around the map. They were pushing the right waves, and whenever UOL took a tower, Fnatic took 2. Simply because they were pushing the right waves at the right time. And eventually just ended up in a big team fight in mid, where UOL kind of had to face check them because there was a threat of Baron.
Yeah, let's take a look at that replay. Pretty much sealed the deal for UOL, and Fnatic just hunting them, even though...
Pretty much, if you take a look at the vision control, Unicorns of Love need to face check them, and this engage just comes in, and Unicorns of Love can't really shout Jumanji, and the Stampede won't stop. It doesn't really work that way. And of course, Fnatic have the superior teamfight composition. This is one of the better teamfight compositions in the game, simply because of the Rumble, Azir, and I don't think it needs explaining. And eventually, the face check happens, and game over.
Please explain. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, one thing that's been instrumental in both games with Fnatic, once they're ahead or once they find the position to fight, getting into the fight and cleaning it up, they've first picked Sivir on both sides, which, you know, it's not game-breaking. It's not this is a Sivir pick or they lose, but it isn't helping the Unicorns. I mean, they have to ban Kalista out. Do they now look to take away the Sivir so that we're not in this Elise or Sivir position? The difficulty is Fnatic, again, on blue side, they're going to get one of the 2 of them if they're both up. So if you're the Unicorns, what do you even do with that?
I mean, like I said already, I'm not sure how to draft against Fnatic right now. Like, even as a player right now, I have no idea how I would put myself into a favorable position, because if one of your position is not really meta-reliant, like, for example, Power of Evil, we have questioned his champion pool maybe coming into the series, and multiple times. We don't know how deep it goes. We don't know if... We know for a fact that Vardax is not a Kalista player, so they can't really trade the Sivir for the Kalista too. So it puts them in a very awkward situation.
It's like the biggest issue is the fact that, imagine if they didn't ban the Lulu. They could play the Lulu mid, and then they could eventually ban the Azir, and they would have more options, and they would be able to blind pick or flex a mid/top lane. And also the biggest issue, as you mentioned, the Kalista. Like, I can imagine they had some, like the draft, I think the idea is good, but there's just some missing pieces in the shape of Kalista, maybe a Lulu, and those kind of things.
Yeah. We'll see if they find the pieces in the next one. UOL, they have to fight to stay in this one. We're going to kick it over to our casters and get into Game 3.
Thank you very much, Shucks, and the rest of the analyst desk. Quick reminder that later today we will hand things off over to our friends in North America for their second NA LCS semi-final, and that is a hell of a hype match between Team Liquid and Team Solo Mid. Before we get to that, we need to see whether or not Unicorns of Love can at least pick up 1 win or more against Fnatic. And Official, I know you feel very strongly about the Janna and Lulu bans.
I don't think it's the smartest bans coming in for Unicorns. I don't feel like they're targeting Fnatic where Fnatic is beating Unicorns. They're using this mobility so extremely well because they keep getting Sivir as a first pick. And you don't want to run Sivir Janna anyway. So what's the point in banning the Janna if you know Sivir is going to be the first pick? And it just doesn't make any sense. And also, Unicorns are playing way too much around the bottom lane, which has been the weakest lane for Unicorns all split long.
And the winning factor for Unicorns actually came out of that bot lane, which was their support Hylissang once he roamed. So why commit so much time to getting a strong bot lane if you can just pick utility AD carry, free up Hylissang as a resource, let him roam together with his jungle Horo, and most importantly, at the start of the split, it was Kalista Sivir, tier 1 AD carries. If either you ban both or neither and you trade them, I think that's the approach Unicorns should have taken this game.
Look how slow Fnatic are on their final ban because of the fact that Zia was taken off the table. They will, however, once again, remove Victor.
Thank you very much. Janna and Lulu is not banned. Yes, it will open up for Fnatic to run like a Sivir, Lulu, Olaf composition. Potentially, something we have seen, or we have seen the components for it. Unicorns should still be able to get Elise and Shen, though, if Sivir gets first pick, which is what we expected.
5 mid laners are banned. That means there's a lot of champions out of that champion pool. Yes, they didn't have a shared champion pool, but a lot of these picks were kind of outdated. So we'll have to see if it's even worth for the Unicorns of Love to counter pick mid or secure just one of the better picks that are left. Wonder how Febin's going to react as well. Perhaps he'll go back to his Jace. Something we've seen, fallen out of favor, but could definitely be played here by Fnatic.
And if Unicorns are so afraid of this Lulu, coming in for
Yeah,
that potential Lulu Olaf comp with Sivir. You have to take it here now with the Elise, in my opinion, on the side of Unicorns a lot, because it was so key for them in the early game to have a stronger jungler. Unless, of course, they want to say, hey, we don't think you're going to take the Elise because you want Olaf. I don't think Fnatic is looking at it that way, though. So, would expect the Elise again for Horo. It was the only thing really working early on. Could just do exactly the same as the Shen, though. Shen or Lulu, honestly, for the other pick.
Shen is obviously a flex pick. Jungler,
it's coming, though.
it's the stronger one on Horo here, the Elise. Fnatic are likely to pick up the Lulu, but they can also just wait. Say, okay, reveal where that Shen is going, and then we can still see what we build with our composition.
Janna was the key pick that you didn't have to ban. Taking out Ahri, then, even though we haven't seen February use it, obviously in this series you only see him play Azir, they decide to go full in on the mid lane bans. If they are that afraid of an Olaf Lulu composition, then there could have still been a third ban from them. Anyhow, Unicorns get good picks in the first rotation that work for them, but still it's going to be about snowballing top and then transition that into either mid or bot lane. I would like to see into mid lane.
So I don't talk about hovers too much, but Fnatic just hovered 3 AP mid champions with decent amount of wave clear. You know, in the Ziggs, in the Cassiopeia, earlier on the Xerath, that might indicate that Huni is still looking
Take the
at
Lulu and
potential
go Olaf.
80 carry or 80 base champion in the top lane. Could even be a flex Olaf. Could even be later on a Riven coming out again. However, they lock Lulu, which is a flex in 2 positions because support has been locked in.
I just want to see Olaf top lane with this. Into the Shen. Strong lane. You have the fantastic speed up. Huni gets fed. I think Unicorns shouldn't have banned the Ahri, should have kept it on the Lulu. But anyhow. And
of course, even if that Cassio had got locked in, that is also a flex for Fnatic. We've seen Huni running at top at MSI a long time ago.
Rumored to tilt people.
Rumored, of course. But for Fnatic, they've got the ingredients of yet another Stampede composition.
Don't go Lucian again.
And let's find out what Unicorns of Love.
What other options does Vardax have? Varus is banned away as a flex pick. If he goes Corki here, you need a physical mid laner, otherwise you have way too much magic damage. And let's look at the physical mid laners Power Wheel have played. Oh, Varus, banned away. So by Fnatic banning these 3 champions, could go to Tristana for Vardax.
Tristana, for me, is a better Lucian. If you want a champion that 1v1s people very well, that has a gap closer, that can at least take towers down and doesn't get wrecked because it has such a low range, just take Tristana.
Unicorns of Love have lost 2 games in a row with a very similar type of team composition. Their last pick has been very slow scaling poke. Will they try it one more time?
Give me a Syndra then at least.
And risk getting knocked to the 3rd place decider. Remember, if Unicorns lose this game, they face H2K for a spot at Worlds for championship points on that record. We'll find out with one more pick. We're hoping for something stronger in lane. Fnatic though, Olaf is what we're expecting, plus
something.
I mean, you can go Rek'Sai jungle with it if you want the Olaf top lane, and then put Lulu in the mid for the safe lane. Now that it's a blind pick.
Might still be Lulu, in the mid lane anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Rumble top, Olaf jungle. A lot of possibilities here for Fnatic. They're running 1 tank, 1 jungler that they will make a tank with the Wild Grove. They have a safe pushing mid laner that will go relatively even, which has been the recipe for success so far. Their bot lane will go relatively even. And then we have Huni, who will just make smarter teleports than Vizichachi.
And that's the thing now, if Power Wheel wants to run a more aggressive lane again, we're looking at Syndra as one of the options. At level 6, that's annoying because Lulu can ult yourself and shield herself and prevent getting one-shotted. So I think it's very smart for Fnatic to take Lulu as the blind pick. And then we see somewhat the same in saying, we don't want to risk a 2v2 top against an Elise, we're not going to win. So we're going to take a farmer top laner in the Rumble and, okay.
Kale, the aggressive champion, hasn't been played yet in playoffs. In the mid lane, but looking back, Unicorns of Love have yet to make a counter pick work. First games, or every game so far, Sivir first pick, counter pick on bot lane was open, didn't happen. Went neutral at best, Rekkles got ahead of his opponent Vardax, eventually brought on the hunt to the team. Counter pick in the mid lane for Power Wheel twice, hasn't worked, has yet to work. Kale, will it finally be the option?
Well, here again is what you're doing is you're basically building a composition. If you had a star AD carry, if Imp was your AD carry right here, and you build and you build this kind of combi, deft, you can deft, Imp, bang, whatever. Forgiven, man, put him in there. Put Forgiven in.
On Lucian?
On the Lucian. Having so much protection for it could make it work. It's not gonna be the ideal setup, but it could make it work. The problem is, again, your carry right here is the guy who normally is just a safe laner. And now there's so many things built to protect him.
The problem is, play Lucian into this lineup for Fnatic. They don't even have to land their skill shot. They can just aim their abilities in your general direction, and it is very likely that they will hit. You have the Rumble, you know, with the Equalizer, with the Flame Spitter, Olaf's Axe, anywhere. Will probably pluck on that Lucian. His E-dash no longer resets slow, so he'll be slow. He's just gonna melt immediately.
You don't even have to rely 100% on those skill shots. Just send your Olaf in. There's nothing that's going to stop him once he throws down that ultimate for potentially the final time in the semi-finals in Europe. Fnatic once more take to the Rift to drop Unicorns of Love out of the finals in Stockholm. Fnatic with a win here will guarantee either a first or second seed at the World Championships. That's what they're playing for.
It does seem that the Unicorns are tired of doing a passive level 1. I like it. I think you need to do something risky, so they're going for a 5-man invade. Really strong invade with Braum. Just all you need to do is proc Winter's Bite on somebody. Even if they flash, they're slowed. You can chase after, a couple of flash autos, stun. First blood. Let's hope it works out for them.
Yeah, look for Chachi to sneak up near the wall and just dash over. Reckless needs to, as soon as he spots them, place a ward and just run away, because Chachi might even sneak in behind him here. So Reckless
Right, Vardax,
really in trouble. Come on, you can sneak in behind him here.
And they're going.
There we go.
CC, Chachi, flash
flash.
Winter's Bite is connected. He's going to flash into Chachi. There's the stun. This could be first blood for Unicorn. Heal, 200 HP. Yellow Star. He goes for the hit, but no, Yellow Star's in a little bit of trouble. Will the cooldowns come back up? Fnatic, get out!
But he had to start headbutt now on Yellow Star. But he's the one still.
Could have started pulverized too.
Could honestly, yeah, just knocked him up here. Was probably afraid of a potential flash coming in, even though Power Weevil had already used it. But smart little level 1 from Unicorns of Love, trying to surprise Fnatic. And still, let's look at this Kale pick, because Power Weevil is going to build Runeglaive again, despite some of the changes coming to it. So he's going to go for Runeglaive. I assume what he's going to do is try and really power farm his own Raptors and Wolf Camp and say, Horo, my friend, you're going to gank. That's how you're going to get your gold. You're going to work for it. I'm going to take away your camps to try and power farm to late game.
How do I win a series 1v5? Become Froggen. Farm those Raptors, farm those Wolves, get a CS record, carry your team. Alright, Raptors, or Krugs being done by UL at the aggressive side. They took control of the bottom side of the map, thanks splitting that up. In that sense, actually, Headbutt pays off because it places the Grump closer to the lane, allowing him to get there quicker. So genius read from Yellow Star, he knew he was going to swap. Fantastic gameplay.
And this mid lane is actually interesting because neither Featherfin or Power Weevil have played these respective champions in Summer. It's the first time we've seen Kale in Summer as well. We did see it in North America when Devourer was a bit more prevalent earlier in the split.
Super quick double jungle too with Olaf and Rumble together. They can tear through that jungle incredibly quickly.
And of course on the top side, super standard European swap. Huni is looking to catch the wave once it hits the tower, take it down with the rest of his team and get all the gold, and then bounce the wave back on the side of Fnatic. And Unicorns of Love needs to do the same with this Shen on the bottom side.
And lane swaps kind of neutralize the junglers in that aspect. The more aggressive jungler can't really find an opening necessarily because there's such a mirrored play going on both sides of the map, and that kind of neutralizes this at least early and allows Reignover to farm up this Olaf to a comfortable point where he can just charge in and annihilate people later on.
Obviously the lane swaps are very fast when we take down these towers early and we swap back. Sometimes to standard lane, sometimes we keep the swap going, but we just have the top laners and obviously one in the bottom lane, one in the top lane pushing in. You try and go for the second tower, then a potential TP. That's why how fast you can take down this tower can matter. Just 5-10 seconds can be enough for Fnatic to set up a dive later on the bottom side. We need to follow how fast they can take down the towers though.
It looks like Fnatic's going to get that tower first, Deficio, and this is the first lane swap we've seen all series. You can actually see the goal differences on average at 10 minutes in standard lanes and lane swaps. That is a very big difference between Fnatic and the Unicorns of Love. We'll see if that trend holds through in 6 minutes' time. Reignover wants to get the first kill. Did not connect with that first undertow, I believe, and that means Power Weevil got away.
That was a ghost used by Reignover, however, so he actually blew a summoner on that gang. Power Weevil didn't really care too much. Still comfortably farming that mid lane. Now I have to watch Horo. Where is he going to find his opening?
Oh, Unicorns of Love decided not to bounce the wave down here. First of all, they shared the tower gold.
Are they actually
and now they're pushing the wave down to Reckless so he can catch the wave. You now have two lanes where waves are slow pushing down towards Fnatic. So you have to decide and say, where do you want to go and shove it back into the tower? And it's going to be very predictable.
The only point where that is worth it, if you can dive mid lane, because you keep one guy locked up on top, one guy locked up on bottom, and you can maybe make a 4v3 playing down in the mid lane, but you can't dive a Lulu that easily, not with the support of an Alistar. So this is very, very big mistake here from the Unicorns.
What can happen now is that Unicorns say, okay, let's shove in this wave up top here. We need that wave to reset at the tier 1 tower, so there's a lane for Chachi to farm, because he's on his Shen, he needs farm to be effective. He needs to hit level 6 fairly early. Huni needs to know this is going to happen, so he backs away. If anyone shows from Unicorns on the bottom side, if Chachi TP's down to catch the wave, look for Huni to follow him and just 4-man dive him.
Yeah, but Huni can't follow if he dies.
Oh, he should not be walking in here.
Taunt, Winter's Bite, stun, flash away. Huni's going to give up a kill.
Huni!
As the Fisher throws away his pen, you guys can't see this. He literally just threw his pen in the air. He's like, I'm done.
You have 4 guys on top side. You know that's the only place they can be. Why are you walking into your own jungle?
He's just confirming his suspicions. Are they here trying to kill me? Yes, they are.
Guaranteeing the tower. It's next level play. I bait you to kill me and I give my team their second tower of the game. No?
Even though we're trading towers. Yeah, okay. Big mistake though from Huni. Honestly, the second time this series, he is not respecting a numbers disadvantage at his part of the map. Earlier in game 2, he was overextending when Fnatic was going for a 4-man play on the bot lane. This time they're doing a pretty much a mirrored play. 3-man on the bot lane. Could have punished that play from Unicorns as well pretty hard, but they find a pick. That's honestly what they were looking for.
Yeah, and very key for them. So we trade towers. That's gonna boost up obviously the Kayle up in the top lane. Reckless once again bouncing the way back. So this Kayle in the top lane, so in the mid lane. What Power Weaver is also going to look to do is with this Skirmisher Saber, he's gonna be a split pushing threat. So you have the Shen in one lane, you have the Kayle in the other lane, who is fantastic in the one-on-ones. Once you get a few levels, you can go for Nash's Tooth, second item, and then Fnatic is going to be split up. They shine together as a group, where you can speed up the Olaf, you can get the engages. 1-3-1 setup for Unicorns might not be a bad idea.
A fair amount of AoE on the side of Fnatic, so that single target intervention may be less valuable if everybody is grouped together. We do see 2 towers bound both top and bottom. You are with the small gold lead.
So the wave was bounced backwards, so Reckless can comfortably farm out his own. This freed up Yellowstar, and he's just lurking in the top lane behind Huni. He's waiting for a potential return pick from the Unicorns, trying to punish that. They're not really biting, so now they're moving out together. She obviously sees this coming. Reignover is coming too, so this is a 3 against 2. Teleport extra available from any mid laner of the sorts. Unicorns survive. Fnatic expending more members for the same play, for the same benefit. So this should open up 1 extra guy, and that should be Hillsang right here. Get some deep vision, but Fevin's kind of blocking him in that regard.
Doesn't really care too much about the Lulu, so we'll get a few deep wards in, also timed well with Vardex pushing up lane. Man, Fipman, can you be more annoying?
Well, gonna get an extra charge out of that side stone. And Hillsang picked up. Fnatic have not backed away from their numbers up top, but at least push the wave into the tower. Try to reset that lane a little. May even be able to get their hands on this red buff. Horror realizes it's at a numbers disadvantage.
PoE could be there quicker though, if they choose to fight.
3 guys though on the side of Fnatic up on the top here, so both teams kind of swap the map around. Vardex had to shove out the bot lane, so it was good for him that Hillsang could provide deep vision, make sure he could safely do it. And Fnatic doing exactly the same, just Huni on that side. So Reckless will get a small CS lead because he had extra minions coming down. Rest is even on the map.
Unicorns going to try to get themselves back into lane shortly. They stole away the red buff, because of course they knew the numbers were up top for Fnatic. So the trade of that second spawn. We're getting closer to 10 minutes. It's Unicorns with a marginal lead over Fnatic.
Not punishing Reckless at all, though. They have the standing items to potentially back him up and follow Huni to that bot lane. But Reckless is getting free reign on this wave, even 2 against 1, so Unicorn's not really pressuring at all with his Brown Evolution aggressive combination.
Lane swap going to limit some of their options. We do see that Power of Evil has already completed the Devourer on his mid lane. I'd like to track the stacks on that and see how efficiently he can farm it up, because he's obviously going to have slightly less jungle camps.
Right. Good little adaptation for him. We called out the Rune Blade before, of course, Devour on him. So just looking again to power farm up on it and become this auto-attacking monster basically on the Kayle. Rune Blade wouldn't have been that effective when it comes to applying proper consistent damage. So quite like that from Power View, but still it's extremely it's slow scaling for him once he has to sit here, shove off his own wave and try and go in and take jungle camps over and over.
Reckless, he's in trouble. Does have flash, does have heal on the hunt thrown down. The only cooldown actually decides to even consider to re-engage. Oro's got caught out. He's going to drop down onto Yellowstar. Stand United now begins to channel. There's no Glacial Fissure for Hylissang because he's only level 4. Boomerang catches onto Horo. Horo has to turn back below 100 HP. He gets burned down by Huni. Here comes Power of Evil. Rainover's in trouble. He's getting Righteous Fury down. There's a fight on two fronts. Defensive flash from Hylissang. They've ended up trading a 1-for-1, both junglers.
Yet again, we see the Shen ultimate, as we both are so eager to talk about this play. Should come down before Horo repels upwards. The second time, Vizichachi is late on that Stand United. If you can just come up with channel, then land down, you just have so much more room to play. That would mean Horo with higher HP could join that fight. He got completely zoned out by the equalizer. Yeah, 1-for-1.
Let's see the fight again. Jumping in the jungle. As we mentioned, both top laners going to jump with globals. Oro going down early on. Very key for Unicorns. They managed to get the kill over on Power of Evil's side with beautiful ulti from Looney. Nowhere to go for Horo. And then Power of Evil gets in and takes one kill for himself, which is what really Unicorns are looking for. Just power farm up this Kayle with the Devour. And see what he can do in the late game.
A lot of pressure again on Power of Evil. His Ezreal got fed in the previous match, punishing Fnatic's engages. Fnatic have a very similar team composition. A little bit more safety in that Lulu. Let's see if they can make it count. The first dragon of the game started at 11 minutes. Fnatic are around, but they may not be able to contest.
Even more important, Power Evil was sitting on 2 stacks of the Devour, 2 large monsters killed. Dragon counts for 5, so he's at 7 right now. So that ramps up. Dragon a lot more important once you have a Devour on your team. And he's just looking to get that fully stacked up.
Devour wasn't something that the European LCS really picked up. We saw it a bunch in NA and very, very few times in EU. We'll maybe expand on that as it continues to grow. Rainover.
Forced ulti, that's big for team fights.
And more deep vision from UOL. I think we have to praise the vision that UOL have been putting down. Even in their heavy losses, they're still getting wards in Fnatic's jungle. Unfortunately not making use of it the greatest. UOL gonna look their third tower and, oh no, it survives. Fnatic able to get in range and clear those minions.
And Reckless on the top lane, he's pushing out on his own. It's his very Fnatic-esque type of style, but they just have to make sure they don't really lose too much in these other lanes. Obviously, Vardex will have a hard time farming in the bot lane because he's matched up by people actually playing against him. Reckless is playing against the world.
Yeah, and talking about the farm, Vardex is down 30 CS. That's the total value that both Huni and Chachi have been able to pick up. This lane swap and the movements and the back and forth has hurt both of these top laners. So Chachi's not tanky on the Shen yet at all.
That's what happens when both teams are swapping the dual lanes against the top lanes and keep shoving down the waves. They force them off the towers. Early on, Huni also with his own death in there in his own jungle. So yeah, top lanes are going to be shut down, but this hurts the Shen more.
Yeah.
Because now it's so much harder for Chachi to be like a frontline tank and really have an impact on the rest of the map.
Yeah, on top of that, obviously Rumble is a fantastic low econ top laner that can just work on any amounts of farm, especially in contrast to the Shen. But in addition to that, Fnatic is just a team that plays better around the Fed 80 carry if he's the only guy that's really getting farm compared to Unicorns as well. The Unicorns as well does not strike me as a team that plays around Vardex.
Yet they are grouping around him in the bottom lane. Power of Evil shoving up mid. You can see on the mini-map all of the Unicorns of Love setting up still no ultimate for Hylissang. Yet Unicorns, they're going to engage. It looks like Yellowstar's in a little bit of trouble. He does have Unbreakable Will, and he does put it down. A defensive dash over the wall for Vardex. Here comes Bebevin. The Glitter Lance is connected. Double kill for Reckless.
Why? Chachi's all alone in his lane.
This is the third time this series. Unicorns go for a play when Teleport or Stand United is available. They initiate and somehow the other team gets there quicker with more members. They're not talking to each other when they're setting up these plays. Very rash, radical, in the moment decision making. Just not working together at all.
But even for the Unicorns of Love, you're not really looking to fight right now. Rumble is extremely strong in the mid game. We have as well this Devour Kayle who's looking to farm up and stack up that Devour by getting these big buffs here, by getting dragons. So taking these fights here for Unicorns, they're more looking just for the deep vision and then back out. But Fnatic has enough mobility to just start a fight, and then the communication needs to be there for Unicorns to be like instant, okay, Shen ulti needs to happen now, not in 5 seconds, right now.
And that speaks to some big shot calling issues. That's why they brought in Horo as well. A more objective, tower-focused, oriented type of play. And you sometimes see it shine through for the Unicorns, but it isn't there yet. They still have that democratic shot-calling system that you usually see where, you know, every member gets an input and eventually we find a play, but there's no one leading voice, and that leads to these very mismatched plays going on different parts of the map. Shen had a free lane to push up open there. It was not the time to fight.
I was just watching the minimap a second ago. Huni was rattling off an essay the moment Chachi was in front of him.
Probably just holo.
No, his English actually...
He is very good.
All memes aside, his English has actually fantastically improved.
We heard it in the feature. Standing there talking, very confident. And we also know in team fights, it's funny because when you talk to Fnatic and we hear them on the analyst desk, you know, with the shot calling, we often ask about it because we know it's Yellowstar when it comes to the macro play. But if you hear in replays, in team fights, it's very often Huni taking over completely, just yelling out orders like, go for this target, back away, now this, then screams for Dragon or Baron. And it's kind of Yellowstar trying to hold him back a little bit, be like, calm down, okay, we already won the fight, and then figure out where to go next in a more calm way. It's very fun to hear how hyped up Huni gets, now it's in my head.
Well, he's got a lot to be hyped about. One game away from another LCS final for this Fnatic team, and a guaranteed World Championship spot. For Fnatic, they've got themselves a lead. Unicorns are grouping, is a minute till Dragon.
Let's keep tracking these builds here. Power of Evil finishes Nashor's tooth, second to Devour, so very attack speed and attack-based line, which is Kale, you know, just swinging away left and right with that beautiful animation as if you're slapping the enemy in the face over and over. What they're looking for. Added CC coming out of Chachi and Horo here, but he's on a government support build, kind of. Just like, feed me anything, guys, I'll take it. Magic resistance. The welfare build, we usually call it when you're set back in these lane swaps. Tommy Cinder finish it, working towards potential Sunfire.
Finally seeing those top laners get their hands on a little bit of CS. But we've not seen a tower fall in quite a while. Both top lane and bottom lane have been affected, but Feathervin has been able to hold off Power of Evil despite losing a lot of hit points on that mid-outer turret.
Yeah, you do learn to appreciate the value of a single CS once you play that lane swap and as a top laner. You're used to getting 100, 200 CS all the time, but once you find yourself starved, your appreciation for that 25 gold of a creep does go up immensely.
Let's try and look though at how Unicorns are going to play out these team fights, because we know Fnatic has the tool to start the fights with all this mobility here. We know once the next Dragon spawn, they can aim for that one. Unicorns, it's going to be so much about how much damage can Power of Evil deal during his ulti. Because we know Reynov is going to smack into that back line here. He's going to have a few seconds and he's building so much attack speed, so much on-hit damage. Is that going to be enough though to stop Reynov from just murdering people?
So Power of Evil's looking for some more Devour stacks here as he's finishing off that Dragon solo. Traditionally though, speaking about Kale as an ultimate, it's really good against burst-heavy teams. Because in that 2-second window that the ultimate lasts, you really want to prevent as much damage as you can. However, Fnatic have a lot of sustained damage over time, so the value of the ulti will be really hard to, you know, maximize in these fights. If anything, you have to stop Equalizer. Huni though.
Hillesang flashed for that one. They get the on the hunt from Reckless. Dragon was secured by UOL. Fnatic may trade it for tower.
Intervention is 2.5 seconds, not 2 seconds. Just double checked on that. 2.5 seconds for Power Wheel to make it count with that intervention in these fights.
Scales to 3 at rank 16.
Exactly.
So, tower going down for Fnatic, 3 towers to 2. They have the goal lead, pushing up for next. They're basically telling Unicorn, you have to fight us if you want to stop us. Your wave clear is the calling from Vardax, and then Power Weaver getting close enough to sit and auto-attack these minions. That is not reliable wave clear. So when you have Sivir, Lulu, it's enough range to slowly take down these towers.
And Vizichachi is stuck in the top lane. He's just too slow at pushing out these waves without the Sunfire cape. He can't get anything done there, really. He's just too far behind. Yes, he has the Cinder's finish, but he just needs to get in a flying position or an ultimate. Something needs to happen or Unicorns are going to lose another tower.
Well, we'll find out. Fnatic the same wheel started. There's the equalizer. Intervention is out and Power of Evil is swinging. Righteous Fury is out. He's got one, but now he's on the wrong side of the jungle. Chachi and Vardax trying to pull Fnatic's attention. 1 for 3. Vardax gets away with his life. Chachi's left standing. And it's going to be a successful team fight for Fnatic with no tower.
So Fnatic simply saying, we know the engage is coming, we can dive in as well. And when you knock up multiple members and a Rumble ulti, well, of course, Kale ulti for Power Weaver is going to be used on himself, so Horror goes down right next to him. And let's just see, how can the carries from Unicorns really deal damage here? Power Weaver has the ulti, so he can stay in range, but Vardax, right now, he gets to hit Yellowstar, and then he gets headbutted away, so he's basically out of the fight.
completely. Just have to really give props to how Fnatic is layering their CC. Equalizer comes out. Yellowstar Q flashes in, keeps 2 people on top of it. Then W disengages Vardex out of the fight. They have 2 carries. They eliminate one, force the other one to flash over the wall. Trading evenly 1-for-1 on a kill. And this type of competition just simply isn't worth it. Fnatic will be happy to take that. And that initial axe from Reignover, I believe, hit 3 people. He got a triple kill in that fight. He is well on his way to start carrying this game with that jungle Olaf pick.
PoE flashing over the wall after intervention timed out. Hard to see whether or not PoE can find better positioning. His Devour is currently at 20 stacks, not sated yet. Still farming up, still no Sunfire Cape. Unicorns of Love are hemorrhaging gold, and they're even further behind as we crest to 20 minutes.
And we still need to see Unicorns try and really maximize the farm on this kill, because once again, PowerViva and Vardex are stuck in the mid lane together, sharing farm. That's not very fun for the Lucian when the kill is just like slap, 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 minion wave is gone. So Vardex keeps falling further and further behind. He was denied a bit in the swap, and then also now here in the mid game. PowerViva in this is in the 1-3-1 we mentioned earlier, but now he needs to worry about this Baron, because the ping walls have already been placed from Fnatic, and we hit 20 minutes.
And if you look at time spent in side lanes compared to added benefit from it, I feel like Huni has spent less time in these side lanes farming up, but just at better times, and his CS is pretty much bang on even, barring 10 CS maybe right now for Chachi. But Chachi has been split pushing all this time, while Huni joined his team, set up for this dive, laid out the equalizer after the undertow connected. And again, this tower in the mid lane is looking to fall, and Chachi just can't do anything. He's peeling off that wave just too late. Has teleport available, stand united soon, he just keep pushing. But he's at risk of getting rotated upon.
Have to ask for Unicorns of Love why they don't want to run Hylissang on an engaged support. Because what they're lacking all these fights here, or in the setup to the fight, is a good way of reaching Fnatic's backline. Every single time. They don't have any ways of getting Shen into the fight properly. It's like Hylissang running in on his own with Shen ulti, and it's too easy for Fnatic to react and pick the right targets.
No, Fnatic, they're going to try look for Unicorns of Love. Here comes Chachi. He may not be in time. We did see PowerViva getting the tower, but has he lost his entire team? 2 members are down. Oro's going to get saved by Stand United defensively.
Reignover
Fnatic
just throws his axes in the air like he just doesn't care. He just completely Rambo's in there because he knows he has the support from Fevern coming in with Wild Growth. Even if he dropped right there, wouldn't have mattered.
But
he got all the cooldowns down. But yes, on the bot lane we have Hail Mary split push coming out of PowerViva, but somebody should be able to deal with that after the Baron.
Can he get the inhibitor? Got a lot of attack speed.
He should actually, if Chachi can stall.
Super minions in the bottom lane versus Baron empowered minions in every other lane. Unicorns of Love will be trading bottom inhibitor. Chachi's going to give up his life to make sure PowerViva can get out alive. Horo's going to connect to the cocoon. Chilling smites down, I believe. It's not going to matter. Chachi has managed to survive. Horo's going to delay them. If we cut to the bottom lane, it looked like Reckless was looking for more. Power of Evil tries to turn it around. Intervention is up, but he's not going to 1v2. Super minions for Baron.
Keep in mind, PowerViva is not really running with a lot of burst here. It's all about the sustained damage he can do. Called it Runeglaive earlier in the start. That was obviously Devour, the name we were looking for. And he is split pushing. He is impossible to stop one-on-one. But that's why Fnatic are saying, we don't care. We're going to TP away from that lane and just take the team fight in the mid lane instead. Because that's the way we are going to win this game. So if they split up and try and defend 1-3-1, Unicorns still have a chance because of how strong PowerViva will be. For as long as Fnatic looks just for the team fights.
23 stacks remaining on PowerViva. Obviously, he'll need a 1 Rift Scuttler and 1 Dragon. Hopefully, to complete that Devour. But even then, when he does, it might be just too little too late. If only inhibitors grant the Devour stacks.
If only. PowerViva will be happy about that. But they do not, and unfortunately the Dragon's been secured by Fnatic, so despite giving up the first 2, we'll find an opportunity to secure the next. And that's safe to Devourer rather, not safe to get. Plus the Righteous Glory. Okay, wave clear, but it's simply not enough. Teleport forced from Chachi and Fnatic. And you don't want to start the tower dive yet. They're happy to focus the tower. I lied! They do want to start the tower dive. Equalizers out. Reckless is on a rampage. We see Holo taking out Horo as Fnatic peel onto the inhibitor turret. They've got Baron empowered minions coming behind them. And it's 5v3.
Double combo from Yellowstar. Huni lays out the red carpet, ready for the walk to victory as they break open his first inhibitor in Unicorns of Love's base. And it's looking grim.
Super minions down bottom. Fnatic say we don't care. They send their own ones to do battle with the Unicorns of Love and reposition for another siege.
And they will keep doing exactly the same. They can always engage. You have dive potential with Alistar, you have so much follow-up. Unicorns of Love needs to find a way to kill that. The damage dealers really, but they can't get to them with this
No, they
competition.
cannot. Chachi's taunt gets denied by the headbutt. Intervention used to save Hylissang. That's not a sentence I wanted to say. Power of Evil keeps swinging, trying to get the Righteous Fury to work, but it is not. The Reckoning, the Blessing, it is not enough. Another tower falls, another inhibitor falls. Unicorns in Love. 26 minutes, their base is in tatters.
Tatters? Fnatic though, they're so good at capitalizing on this Baron buff. This is the first tower that's going to go down tier 2. Watch Yellow Star here. Combo, 3-man, Equalizer, Undertow coming too. Equalizer doesn't even fully connect, but it saves them the exit path. And that's all they need to do, because if Unicorns decide to fight, they're going to lose anyways. They take one tower, this second tower is going to go down, then they rotate to the mid lane. Take a third tower, 2 inhibitors. The amount of gold value and structure value that Fnatic get out of each individual Baron is just so high.
And just take a look at your scores. 0-0-10 for Febiven, 0-0-11, 10 out of 12 kills, 11 out of 12 kills. They are playing their roles perfectly. Rainover's even picking himself up. Harbinger, exceptional play from everyone at Fnatic.
Most importantly, 100% kill participation on the Sivir. That's what you do with a Sivir comp. You group up and you get to the finals.
Actually, if you look at the kill participation for everybody,
Yes.
it's 85% plus.
This series here has been very clear. There's been such a big difference in terms of champ select. The champion pools that comes Fnatic could run compared to Unicorns of Love. They've been stuck running Lucian every single game. They've built compositions that would early snowball and often around that bot lane as well. But it's not the lane you want to snowball. You've never done that in the EU LCS and now
Chachi taunted. I think that was a 4-man knocker from Yellow Star. Huni goes golden as Fnatic want another goal. They want to get to the finals. It's a triple kill for Reckless. It's a quadra kill for Reckless. The Power of Evil's run away. There will not be another pentakill on the man that got the pentakill. Fnatic, they want the style points. Reckless is running. He's got the grit. He's got the pentakill. He's got the pentakill. Reckless and Fnatic go 21-0 in the summer split and will be heading to the summer finals in Stockholm. They will be facing Origin and they will be going to the World Championships.
And all that's really left to play for Fnatic is what seed are they going for? If they lose in the championship finals, they get the highest championship points. And for second seed, if they win,
undefeated season as well.
Undefeated season, the glory. But they've always came out, we don't care.
Yeah, of course.
When do you start caring about your undefeated season? 3-0 here, very convincing fashion. And the Unicorns, they will have to go home and hopefully readjust their strategy going into the match against H2K.
At least it seems like Unicorns were lacking tools when it came to picking compositions. It was too easy for Fnatic in terms of banning out Power of Evil, and then they're saying, well, we know as long as we get the Sivir pick, Vardax kept falling back on Lucian. The compositions here were basically the same despite losing the games from Unicorns. The only change really the mid lane pick, which then also changed every single game.
And what a disappointment, in my opinion, from Hylissang and the team, not giving him an engaged support. His roams were so impactful in the quarterfinals against Roccat. He was target banned in the spring finals. Hylissang, the performances we've come to expect, unfortunately not there because of the team comps and the way Fnatic played.
I think Braum is a fine roamer on its own, but you just can't pair him with a strong laner like Lucian that requires him to be present, because otherwise this Lucian was falling behind. Hylissang could have roamed, it didn't come out this way, the way it had before, because in addition to that, they also had no kill potential in the top lane. Before, what we saw in the match against Roccat was, okay, Hylissang bases, says, okay, Hor, are you gonna go counter gank or gank top? We're gonna follow up on that play. Just didn't work out, and that's why Fnatic is this happy.
You can see.
Series.
And the thing I want to highlight as well, that Fnatic have not shown that level of happiness in many of their wins. They've been very hypercritical. Yes, they have just qualified for finals. They 3-0'd UOL.
They just went to Worlds.
They've got their ticket to Worlds. There's a lot of reason to be happy. and it's great to see just how well they performed. They won game 1 in 26 minutes, game 2, 32 minutes, game 3, 27 minutes. I mean, in aggregate game time, 3 over around 30, 31 minutes.
Everyone coming into this match were basically saying, okay, is it possible for Unicorns to win? Clearly not, because Fnatic was so far ahead of them, pick and ban-wise, in-game as well. They had a few mistakes, but a few mistakes over 3 games.
Very easy to fix.
Very easy to fix. It's basically more or less being greedy when you don't have to. Like Huni taking a path down his own jungle, getting caught out, overextending in a lane. That is just a bit of greed. That can be fixed.
It can be fixed, and we'll have to find out if they can when they face Origin in the finals. For now, we're going to head back onto stage with Pulse, who's joined by Fnatic's beast of a bottom lane.
Thanks, guys. I'm joined by both Yellowstar and Reckless after that domination of a series. Now, first off, you're now 21-0 in this split. What do you take away from games like this? Because you're not losing, you're making very few mistakes.
We're taking like game by game, step by step, and we're really focusing. We had a lot of preparation coming into these games, and now our next objective is going to be Origin. They are like really strong opponents. We've been screaming against them, and I think it's going to be really good games as well. But here we were really prepared. We knew the strategies of Unicorns, and they basically had like 2 strategies, and we pretty much shut them down with those bans.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you shut them down. And also, Reckless, we saw you play Sivir in a lot of those games there. You've been playing more of these team-orientated picks. How has that been for you as a player?
I've never really been known as like a lane ADC, so therefore team-oriented AD carries such as Sivir or Corki is pretty much a perfect fit for me. I can play the lane to go equal at worst or ahead if we have a good matchup, and then just go from there. I try to make calls aside of Yellowstar and just be some sort of backbone for the team because we have kind of star players with Huni and Reignover and Fabivin in the front doing a lot of cool plays. So me being a backbone is definitely not a bad thing. I think it's definitely needed for this team as well. Someone has to be.
Yeah, and it's definitely worked for the team over the split, 21-0. Now, looking towards Worlds, you guys have definitely, well, you've qualified for Worlds, you haven't got the seed just yet. Have you looked towards any of the teams who have already qualified, SKT, Yoi Flash Wolves?
Yeah, and definitely LGD this morning. I don't know, man. All these teams look really strong, and they play a lot of different stuff from we do. So it's going to be really interesting to face them. Even though we already had a taste at MSI, it was really cool, and I'm really looking forward to it. But before that, we have to focus on Origin. I really want to win against them.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, last question for you, Reckless. How do you think that matchup is going to go? Origin in the grand finals here. They've looked very strong throughout the split. This is the first split for them. What do you think of them right now?
Before we went into this semi-final against Unicorns, we were screaming a lot against Origin. And we kind of found them being able to fight us, which is something that we could not say for all the teams during the split. So definitely I would consider Origin one of the better teams right now here in Europe, and definitely a top contender of getting the first spot. So I wouldn't say the finals is going to be anywhere close to easy, and I wouldn't expect us to clean sweep them. I think they are going to put up a very good fight, both in draft and in actual game. So I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be on my home field in Sweden as well. So maybe the pressure is on them.
Well, we're all looking forward to that matchup. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and congratulations once again on that great split. We're going to throw it over to the desk to take a look at that game.
Thank you so much, Pulse. Well, these two, even after that performance, level-headed, keeping a clear eye. Just note that after this, of course, the action in North America is going to pop off with Team Liquid versus TSM. But we were pretty fast here today, so we need some time to set it up over there. That gives us some time to look back at the series. I want to pick in on you, Yamato Cannon, with the interview here with Reckless, where he says, it's actually perfect for me, this playstyle. And that's quite interesting to me, because I know that when he was on Alliance, a lot of times we're like, oh, he's this Prophecy 80 carry, but he's not being aggressive enough. It seems that this has all fallen in place.
There is like one sentence I despise hearing. This guy should play more aggressive. What does that even mean? You need to take a look at the matchup, analyze his role in the team. And as he said, he's the backbone. Yeah.
Yep.
Simple. I mean, it's true. We see this first pick Sivir every game, mainly a takeaway from Vardax, but also because Fnatic as a team really use the utility so well to force these team fights. So having an AD carry who can always at least go even is going to help Fnatic a lot also moving forward against international teams where we have some fantastic bot lanes they're going to have to face.
Yeah, there have to be a lot to learn from this. Let's bring up the picks and bans from this last game to look at the adaptation, maybe from the side of UOL as well. They dropped the Ezreal, but they got the kill.
Clown Fiesta Kale. What was surprising about it, Kale, like, sure, he wants to surprise the enemy team, but Kale is not good against Rumble. Kale is not good against most of these picks, and he went Devourer. How does that make sense? Devourer mid lane.
Yeah, we heard Kale jungle Devourer when it first came out patches and patches and patches ago, but the problem here is you just can't generate the Devourer stacks fast enough without getting involved in every single kill and snowballing really hard very early on. I guess I kind of would have liked the idea had they paired it with like a hyper carry bottom lane as well. The problem is Vadax isn't a hyper carry. He's not going to play something that is going to scale super well, so you've got no target to ult other than yourself.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot during the game, of course, how Unicorns are drafting compositions which would be good at snowballing an AD carry with the Shen down the bottom lane. Obviously, not the style they've been playing. Also, again, the Kale in the mid. Before the Runeglaive nerfs, I had seen some Runeglaive mid lane Kale coming in, and I wondered, because he already ran the Ezreal with it, is he just completely outdated for Power Weaver? Was he going to do exactly the same to be a bit more burst focused? Then he goes Devour, doesn't even start taking a lot of camps for himself. Very surprised about the way he played it, and obviously was way too slow at scaling up. Didn't even get the full stacks on Devour.
Until I see the picks and bans for HUK versus UOL, it can be mind games, man. I'm sticking to my guns.
I mean, it might be mind games, might not be good, you know. You can always surprise with different picks like Runeglaive Ezreal. Doesn't mean it's a strong pick. Dexter, as a jungler, why do you hate Devour? Tell me and tell the viewers.
Why I hate Devourer? I think Devourer just puts you in an awkward position where your jungler, your early game tool to make you go ahead, take dragons, group up and everything, it just makes you slow down the game from your perspective in your team, and you don't want that. You want to have a tempo jungler, potentially. You want to be on the front where you actually invade aggressively and take the camps away. I mean, it could be a point for Devourer because you stack it up faster, but in the end it takes too much time to actually be useful. And most of the time we have a jungler that is useful in the early game, falls off later in the mid to late game, and then the other team takes over. But it's the complete reverse when you have a Devourer jungler where you make an early game team and have a late game jungler, but you might already have lost the game and you don't know how the game is supposed to go out. So I think Devourer junglers are a bit... I mean, even in solo queue, everyone knows when you have a Devourer jungler in a solo queue game, you just want to FF the game at 20 minutes because you know he's just gonna coolly farming his jungler. Yeah, guys, don't worry, I will carry in 30 minutes, but the game has already been over. So that's why the Devourer jungler is bad, and you should not pick it.
All right, well, we've learned that. We're going to get back on that in a second, maybe, although we heard a lot. But Pulse is actually standing by with Daylor, so we can hear from him.
Thank you very much, Sharks. I'm joined by Daylor just to talk about how he thinks his team is looking right now. Obviously, very good now. Daylor, after the split 21-0, how do you look at these games and kind of improve as a team? Because you don't have losses to go back and look at.
In every game, even if it's a win, there's a lot of mistakes. So we're always looking into detail. So at the beginning of the, in the first split, we were working on the basis, on the very basic stuff. And then when we covered this, we just started working on getting better at core things like communication, or it could be vision, playing around our spikes. And so in every game, there's a lot of details that can be improved.
Yeah, and also, we've seen the incredible growth of Fnatic over this split. I kind of want to ask about your support staff as well, which has obviously grown over the season. How has that helped your team improve?
I think it's really important. We have, since the beginning of the first split, we have an analyst, and now we are growing, getting more analysts or more stuff. And I think it's extremely important because they give you more detailed information. So in my case, I can make better decisions. So we can create better plans in detailed plans. So we are, as a team, way better prepared.
And looking very prepared. I actually kind of want to contrast Spring Fnatic to Summer Fnatic right now, because when we saw them in Spring, Fnatic were all laughs after a game, and now when we see them, even after like a snowball victory, they're just dead cold. It's like silent cold killers. Is that something you taught them, or did that just happen organically?
I never told them this. It's just that on the first split, it's like everything was new. We were more excited. We were a new team. So every win was more emotional. But along the road, we learned that we need to kind of control our emotions to be able to perform. So going back to the question about how to improve, now we're looking into details. So even if we have a really clean game, we are calm because we are thinking about our details. So even though we are happy, of course, we will not be overly excited.
Right, and you've been looking at your game obviously a lot. Are you going to be looking towards your own game or Origin's game as you go into the finals? Who are you going to be focusing more on?
For sure, I will look on them, but for sure, I will look on us. So there's nothing special. I will prepare like I'm preparing for every other matchup.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much, Daylor. Congratulations on an amazing split so far. We're going to throw it back to the analyst desk to take another look at the game.
Thank you so much. Always like hearing from Daylor. He doesn't do it that often. He prefers to stay out of the limelight, although, you know, we have the swaggy pants in Life of Legends, though. We've seen those a couple of times. Yamato, he is our coach of the split as well. What makes him such a good coach for you?
I think even though Fnatic has had this 21-0 record, I think improvement is still visible. That is what is very incredible about what he has done. And I also agree with the fact that the thing is, with emotions, they're very inconsistent. That's why, like, you need to look at League of Legends as its business. You have to be stone cold, no emotions, because they can distract you and kind of get in the way of what you want to accomplish.
I think one of the most interesting things regarding Daylor, his coaching staff, everything, is his support staff, his analysts aren't all going out there, getting themselves out, you know, onto social media, that kind of thing, and letting a lot out there. Because, you know, when you're at the top, if you give too much away as an analyst, as somebody part of a team, people can pick up on that. And teams will start to read into what your coaching style is, what you're looking for in a game. And I find it very intriguing that Fnatic as a team only ever let you know what they want you to know. The same with like their Life of Legends, what they tweet about, the things their players talk about in interviews. Fnatic don't let too much go too often, and you know they hold their cards to their chest.
Not like this rocket coach here, just sharing everything out.
I don't quite mean that. I don't quite mean that. But you know, I think
you will never know.
Dexter, what do you think of this approach? Because you're a player who's also, of course, very much in the limelight when it goes good and bad.
I mean, yeah, when it goes good, you definitely don't want to share anything. I mean, back in the days, Season 3, when we were in Lemon Dogs, we never shared anything what we want to practice or what we're going to come up with anyone. We just want to practice our stuff, and then when the time is there, we're going to pull it out. And then we give people time to analyze while we work on the next thing, so we're always going to be a step ahead. But when you're in a bad position, I would say, I think you soak in everything you can. You try to get a different opinion. Like that's why you have an analyst now and a coach that help you out with a different perspective. And I think it's really important to have like proper coaching stuff, because that are like you can only rely on those people, and they are close to your team, and they try to help you. And you can't really take anything. You should take everything with a grain of salt. What you hear from other people too. So I think that's the most important thing to take away from that.
And of course, the opinions we see a lot of fans have of teams when they are performing poorly. Luckily for Fnatic, didn't have to worry about any criticism. This split, they won every single game. We have still seen some people come out and say, you know, are they really that good? Are they getting overhyped coming into Worlds? Now they're already locked in the spot. But just looking at Fnatic compared to every other team we have here in Europe, they are fantastic. They are, of course, a level above the rest. We have to see what Origin can do in the final. But this team should be able to represent Europe properly at Worlds.
Yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more in a second. On that, though, the Unicorns of Love, of course, in this matchup, not their best matchup, and you talk about how people react on social media to things. UOL has been on the receiving end of a lot of criticism all the time. Not to say it is, in some places, not deserved, but it does mean something if this team still manages to get to the semifinals twice in a row in one final. What does that say about, you know, just the ecosystem of the teams, Yamato?
I think why the team has taken so much criticism, well, not, I don't even know if it's true, but like when I take a look at Unicorns of Love, I feel already from the first split, their philosophy about the game was practicing and improving something that was so inconsistent. Like I prefer solid play. For example, HTK from the start, they promoted solid play and improved their solid play from the start. Unicorns of Love have kept promoting this inconsistent play. In the end, when the teams get better, they're going to kind of fall behind, because inconsistency will just fall behind in the end.
I think we have to look at some of the players on the team, because now we talk about how they have these risky play styles. We don't always agree with the pick and ban phase coming in, but we got to look at the players and say they have some fantastic playmakers. I mean, Power Weevil has shown time and time again he can win games. Hylissang has shown time and time again as well with these roams he's pulling off. So despite them not always having what we consider an optimal pick and ban phase, they tend to pull it off. But then also sometimes we have to look at other teams preparing against Unicorns. And it doesn't seem like they respect what they can do. And they say, oh, Unicorns of Love, they have whatever, let's say, poor shot calling, so we can just have an easy time against them. And then we get into this situation where we have some wombo combos or early roams coming from Hillsing, like against you guys, which surprises teams anyway. And then suddenly the game snowballs out of control. And that's where Unicorns have done a fantastic job picking up some wins. But we also do see the difference when they face a team then like Fnatic, how one-sided it is, both in pick and ban phase, but also in game.
Yeah, I just want to add the fact that like this inconsistent playstyle, it works against worse teams in a way. Like Rocket's performance was not the best in the quarterfinals. I think it was fairly obvious. And with that in mind, it's more about the long term. What is the goal long term with a team that plays with this kind of a playstyle? You can't really see a team like this competing against the best of the best. I think that should be the long-term goal for any team out there.
Dexter, anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add, okay.
All good.
No problem. We also have to look at the team that has done very well in this series. Of course, Fnatic 21-0, and who the best player was for us. And well, just like he was throughout the season, Yellow Star was key to Fnatic's march to the summer finals. Today, in our opinion, of course, all the players always step up. But you were saying something interesting during the game. I think it was the early invade from the Unicorns. And you say Yellow Star does things mechanically and makes decisions that not a lot of other players do.
I think like there was this invade where like Civi got invaded. I think I'm just gonna, I don't want to paint the picture, but you can see clearly here, like the engage was perfect. I think it's the synchronization of ultimates and the engages are just beautiful. Like I kind of voted for Yellowstar to get the MVP simply because his play throughout this series was flawless. I could not spot any mistake.
Right, and I think that's kind of the point we have to get to now with Fnatic is like, we have to look at the mistakes they do make and then say, okay, this was a mistake. We're not going to let you get away with that because you're so much better and you're on the road to Worlds now. So Fnatic, Yellow Star made the least amount of mistakes, but I think had this been a regular season game, any one of those, I think you probably could have given an MVP performance to a couple of players in there. But like honestly, as we said, we have to hold Fnatic accountable because we know they are going to be annoyed at their mistakes themselves.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, even Rainover, I think Rainover played really good on that Olaf, went completely off that one game, and I'm not sure how much Fnatic actually showed in that series. I mean, do you expect anything crazy from them in the final?
I mean, just the fact they showed the Elise is one big deal. It forced Unicorns to change the pick and ban phase in the start, and then the fact you can just run this Olaf comp twice in a row. It is another threat you add when you have a jungle pick that can be a carry for them with Rainover here. But overall, I mean, if we look at Fnatic and what they showed, a little bit greedy from time to time. Game 2 and Game 3 it was like Game 1 was 100% full focus. Like, let's test how strong is the Unicorns of Love. Fnatic rolled over them. Then in Game 2 we had the dive down bottom lane without the Alistar ulti. We had Huni overextending a few times. It seemed like they kind of dropped the focus a little bit, but that's not really showing to me a lot of weakness because greedy or being too greedy in your shot calling is very easily fixable. I mean, you just say next time we don't have an Alistar ulti, don't go for that dive. And you try and communicate a bit more to Huni, relax and move back. So no, they didn't show anything. They didn't have to show anything in this matchup here, other than Elise is, of course, a jungler Rainover can play.
I would like to add as well, when it comes to Fnatic's pick and ban strategy, I don't think they're the type of team that needs to shock in a way. I think they're the type of team, like, based off of their history, simply in every single game they've played, is that they plan out for every possible scenario to have maximum consistency. They don't get surprised by any specific bans. They've planned out for every scenario. And I think that is the best way of making a pick and ban phase.
Yeah, let's actually talk a little bit more about Fnatic in a sec. I do want to remind the guys at home, of course, that the LCS is coming up with TL versus TSM. Right after this, they're getting set up over there. But we're going to check in on Twitter first. A tweet from @LeonWindorfer. What do you think are Fnatic's chances at Worlds? What influence will this have on Western esports, especially the first part of that question is something we just want to talk about.
I talked about it a little bit earlier. I think Fnatic will probably consider Worlds to have been a massive disappointment if they don't get out of groups. I think everybody would say they have to. I think Fnatic will be very disappointed if they don't get into the top 4. That's where I feel like they should be placing. I then think it comes down to what semi-final would they be on. This is a long, long way away, and you know, obviously there's a lot of top teams, but that's my estimation for Fnatic this Worlds.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Fnatic should be realistic going into Worlds. I mean, they've been undefeated, of course, but let's be real. Chinese and Korean top teams are a lot tougher opponents than they have faced here in Europe. So I think a top 4 finish at Worlds should be the most optimal and realistic way for Fnatic, and I think a top 4 finish is still really great. So that's the most realistic way for them to approach Worlds, I think. But definitely it would be a huge upset if they don't go through groups.
I would like to add as well, in terms of the Western esports question, I think the fact that structure behind teams is improving. I think that is the biggest thing that we notice, and why there is like a team like Fnatic can have similarities to the top teams in the Asian regions, because esports is just so much more established.
And that's why I think Fnatic right now as a team, no matter what happens at Worlds, just looking at what they've done here in the summer split, is the key thing for Western esport. Because beforehand, teams will always look to Korea and China, being like, okay, what are these teams doing? What coaching staff do they have? How do they handle subs and whatever. Now we have a team in Europe who is showing that they can get so far ahead of the competition in their own region. What tools are they using? Okay, we know they have a great coach coming in. We now hear they have multiple analysts working for them. They have a manager living with the team, taking care of all the business, you know, and all the stuff. So the players just have to focus on playing. And what combination of players have they put together? So now suddenly teams can look more to just a team in their own region, instead of always looking to Korea and be like, oh yeah, but we can't change the European mentality, you know, on some of the players. But we've just seen Fnatic have 2 Koreans, of course, but Reckless, Febiven, and Yellowstar are 3 hungry players who seems to have exactly the same attitude as the best Korean players we see. So I like the fact we can look at Fnatic. How can other teams adapt to what they're doing and use that to get better as well?
And probably hope that it isn't a 3-0 sweep in the summer finals versus Origin. It goes to 5 games, and we see Fnatic getting pushed a little more than they have, honestly, here. With that, Fnatic locked in Worlds, and then from @TheTitan84 wants to ask you guys, what teams do you think will go to Worlds from Europe? Yamato, I don't think I have to ask.
I think H2K and I think also Fnatic, obviously. Genius.
Just say it.
And like the Gauntlet, Rocket.
Okay.
I don't like making predictions like this. You put me on the spot.
Well,
I
you
don't like
said
making
a couple of times already, the Gauntlet, you know, we had a series to practice. We got good chances there. So, I mean,
we have good chances, but you roll a dice, you don't expect to roll a 6 every time. It's like, I think we have good odds. It depends on how practice goes. I believe in the guys, and I'm very confident we can pull it off.
Dexter, does Rocket make it to Worlds?
You know, I really like you, Yamato, but I think H2K, OG, and Fnatic might go to Worlds.
Come on, 2-0. 2-0 versus Origin, man.
Yeah, but we 2-0'd you too, so does that mean we go to Worlds?
The problem is, Yamato...
Stay salty.
And Yamato, you do need 3 wins in a best of 5 as well. So you can go 2-0 up again, but if Origin pull it out, I feel like it.
Hey, what if Origin win the split?
True. Could be Fnatic.
Come on.
No, Fnatic could have points.
Fnatic
could have points.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Safe one. You said it, H2K, Origin, and Fnatic. However, Unicorns, of course, plays H2K the 3rd place match in Stockholm, and the winner will get the 2nd seed and go to Worlds.
If Fnatic wins.
Yeah, unless Fnatic loses the finals. So we definitely cannot count out Unicorns yet, despite losing 3-0 to Fnatic. H2K also, honestly, lost pretty heavily against Origin yesterday. So we have 2 teams who have a lot of problems they need to fix in just a week, and then show up and see if they can make it to Worlds.
Yeah, we'll see what they make it to Worlds.
The thing is, I just want to talk about the Unicorns of Love H2K thing. It's like, I feel both have sides of issues, obviously, but I feel like the H2K have the talent to supply and to kind of fix these issues, because I feel the biggest issue was the draft and kind of confidence in game. And with that in mind, they have a player on the bench, and I think these players that they have a massive champion pool, like individually. And I feel like learning Kalista in a week, too hard, you know? It's too hard. I cannot believe it.
And Fnatic just showed how you can draft against the Unicorns of Love. They picked almost the same every single game. Vardox and Lucian 3 times in a row.
Well,
you know?
To be fair, if you're forced on Lucian 3 times in a row, then you know you're kind of in a bad spot.
But that's the thing here. Again, now Fnatic showed, they highlighted some weaknesses. We saw PowerVivo try and find new picks. Go back to Runeglaive Ezreal. We saw Devour mid lane from Kael'Sar. Like, he was clearly cycling through a lot of different picks he's been practicing, didn't find anything that worked. So H2K can look at that and say, is the plan really just to ban out PowerVivo like Fnatic did?
But even with the sub, I think we touched on it yesterday as well. The jungle, I mean, Horo obviously was put in a bad spot here, and he did make something happen in game 2. At least he got that first blood, he got some things rolling. So that Lulux, Horo, Betongjoke, Horo matchup, how influential will that be?
I mean, H2K can approach the new game, what they have, completely differently and say, hey, we're going to practice with Betongjoke, because Betongjoke has shown that he can play Elise, that he can play Nidalee, that he can play those champions that we need him to play in order to stack up to Horo. But they could also just say, hey, Lulex, we need you to practice those champions. We have 2 subs, maybe split scrims to motivate the player, give him more time in the solo queue to practice those champions. I'm not sure. I mean, I think either way, H2K should be in a pretty good spot regardless, I think.
Every single game that the Unicorns of Love go into, they're underdogs.
Yep.
And they made semifinals twice in a row in finals. What is it, man?
It's good.
It's good for them, yeah.
I like being the underdog too, because there's no pressure on you. If people expect you to perform, then you have pressure on you. You know, you're like, hey, I have to perform. And then if you go in, yeah, everyone expects you to lose. So you have nothing to lose basically if you play.
You're in the right team then for being the underdog for now at least. Oh my God, I'm sorry about that. Our last tweet to switch gears a little bit because we will be going over to NA, of course, after this when they finish setting up from @xpodware. Who do you think will win the NA LCS and why? CLG is already up there, and now Team Liquid versus TSM in the other semifinal.
Looked pretty convincing for CLG yesterday. I think this the semifinal coming up today is a little bit harder to call. I feel like if Piglet and Liquid can get themselves rolling in bottom lane over the TSM bottom lane, that should be a series they win. But then you go up to the possibilities of a final. I kind of
stress.
Do I want to say it? I think CLG had the potential to win. CLG for me is
talk about beating a dead horse. Oh my gosh.
Do you have faith?
Well, if TSM win, they'll definitely be beating a dead horse in Team Liquid today.
That would be very interesting. Fischer, your boy Bjergsen.
I mean, always got to cheer a little bit for Bjergsen Centurion over there, but impossible to call, honestly. This one, yes, CLG showed up. We've also seen them then go in and completely fail right after. I think they look strong. I think both teams playing today as well, though. Liquid has looked really good in the regular season. I think if they take down TSM, they will take down CLG as well.
Yep. So I think it all depends on today's match. I think if TSM goes to the final, they will probably win against TSM. But if TIP goes to the final, I think CLG will win.
Beating themselves. That might be it.
Good strategy.
Yeah. Good job.
What?
Keep going.
No, I think CLG has pretty good chances of winning. I mean, now that I'm no longer there, you know.
Well.
True.
No, it's I believe in CLG. I think.
Yeah, CLG. I'm thinking Team Liquid 3-1 final. Bam.
All right.
3-2 versus TSM will be intense. I have called it. I've seen in my crystal ball at home. 3-1 Team Liquid.
Well, we will see what happens. Well, Fnatic here was on the top of their game today, and they put on a show for style points, to end the series. We have a tweet from @MelsXR who tweeted, Fnatic couldn't have wrecked them any less. 3-0 in the semis, 21-0. Here's your LCS big play of the day.
It's a triple kill for Reckless. It's a quadra kill for Reckless. The power of evil's run away. There will not be another pentakill on the man that got the pentakill. Fnatic, they want the style points. Reckless is running. He's got the crit. He's got the kill. He's got the pentakill.
Well, it wasn't that mechanically super gifted or anything, but it's a pentakill.
Yeah, he was right-clicking.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
AD carries. Right-clicking only. So easy.
What? Is it?
I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's super hard.
Yeah.
It's just the complaints I hear all the time when people complain about AD carries. Oh, did you right-click and out DPS me? Yeah.
Never hit the tank.
Never hit the tank.
Focus. DPS.
But nevertheless, really nice for Reckless there and Fnatic. Pentakill to round things off before they head over to the finals. That means that our bracket is well settled in at least to see the finals and the third place match here in Europe. Let's take a look at who's left standing. Fnatic, no surprise there. Let's talk a little bit about those finals. Fnatic versus Origin. Of course, we already touched on UOL versus H2K. As said, the winner of that goes to Worlds if Fnatic wins the whole thing. But then there is if they win the whole thing. They're up against Origin. What are you looking forward to in this matchup? Reckless already said it. I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep. Could it be, first off?
I mean, sure, it could be. Fnatic will be favorites in this final here, but I think Origin showed up big time in the semifinal versus H2K, had a good performance in that one, at least compared to what H2K delivered. So we have also seen before when they played, Origin could at least win the early game versus Fnatic. We saw them get the 7k goal lead and then took a 3v5 team fight. Big mistake, which basically lost them the entire game. Go back and rewatch. What did you do well? Fnatic as a team tend to be more passive in the early game and say we don't want to take any risks. That is an opening for Origin to try and see if they can get early leads and snowball from there. So I think definitely they can take a game.
Yeah, if we look at the lane matchups, I know you're always talking about the AD carries. It's also a very interesting one. Rookie of the split in Niels is up there as well. You said actually on PTL you don't think he's been doing that well the last couple of weeks, and you echoed that might be something to work on.
I think definitely in the series against H2K, like he played good, but it didn't really feel like it was up to Neil's standard. And I say this as he's getting kills, which feels bad, man. But the thing is, like, obviously he played well, but sometimes he did a lot of mistakes, and it feels like it's uncharacteristic of Nils because I rate him and value him very, very highly.
The main problem for Nils in the last few weeks, and what I was highlighting, was the fact that his positioning in team fights was not the same we saw in the start of the split. He would often be in the front line, he would get caught by hooks or charms or whatever it was, and he would end up going down. So it became more and more about what could Pekka do and Source do in these late game fights. Obviously something that he's been looking at. We know he has the talent to be one of the best AD carries in Europe. And I'm sure also he will show up in the final against Reckless, even though the bot lane is most likely just going to be a farm fest, and it's going to be about what the junglers can do and how much they can snowball potentially the top laners.
I think it's also important to highlight the fact that if you take a look at these series, Fnatic versus UL, what do you learn about Fnatic here? Nothing. What do you think about...
They play Elise.
Elise.
They play Elise. Okay, that's one thing. All right, congratulations, you will not lose one game automatically. All right, and then there is, like, on the other side, we saw Origin lose one game. And I felt that was simply because of Xpek's champion pool. He was forced on that Ahri. Possibly, maybe they're hiding something. Could be potentially that. But still, I feel that series on the other side of the bracket gives more information that the game between Fnatic and Unicorns have loved it.
Dexter?
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's always easier if you just don't give anything away. And if you get pushed to your limits, you have to reveal all your strategies, basically. But I think Fnatic didn't really reveal too much. And OG, I mean, they still have time. You know, 1 week is a lot of practice. And I think all of their players have, like, good champion pools. And Soa's amazing. They play every champion, basically, in their role that they have to. I mean, they have more tools to beat Fnatic than the rest of the teams, I think.
Well, we'll have to see that finals, Fnatic versus OG. Live coverage from Stockholm's Hovet Arena will begin on Saturday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. Central European Time. That is 8 a.m. Pacific. It's going to start with the fight for third place, H2K versus UOL there. And we'll also be joined by Yamato Cannon there in Sweden. So, yay. It's also a home match for you then.
Yeah.
Cool. Gonna be fun.
Sverige.
Gonna be fun. Well, thank you for joining us here, Dexter, as well, for lending a hand here on the desk. Today's playoff battles, they aren't over yet, though it's time for the North American LCS semifinals. So we're going to send it right over to Dash and the desk in Los Angeles, California. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And, well, from myself and everyone here, thank you for tuning in. And keep watching, because NA has a lot of action coming up.
TSM.
Match in this best of 5. It's time to get on the Rift and find out who will be the first European team for Worlds. And Huni is going to look for more. That's a kill there for Yellowstar. They're going to continue to chase. Wind Slash into Cocoon. The volatile spiraling. Raynov has got a second of the game. Well, Huni even gets out. Yellowstar decides to re-engage, but the taunt Vordax is just destroyed by Featherfin. And for the 19th consecutive time, Fnatic are the victors.
Come into their lane. Flash. Good job. Nice. Good job. Sivir flash there. I'm getting the flash as well.
Mid is 20 Sivir.
I'm maybe Sam.
Good job. We need towers, guys.
Ghosts up as well. The engage finds Power of Evil. With him out the fight, a lot of the damage is removed. Vordax gets crit down. 1 game away from guaranteeing an appearance in the World Championships.
So the only topics we can talk is about Fabian's snake, poop, and all this disgusting stuff, right? So
why Fabian's snake?
You say my snake is disgusting?
Yeah, wow.
Whatever. Another tower.
Well, we'll find out. Fnatic the same wheel started. There's the equalizer. Intervention is out and Power of Evil is swinging. Chachi taunted. I think that was a 4-man knocker from Yellowstar. Huni goes golden as Fnatic want another goal. They want to get to the finals. It's a triple kill for Reckless. It's a quadra kill for Reckless. The Power of Evil's run away.
I can't go.
It's video.
Get in!
Fnatic go 21-0 in the summer split and will be heading to the summer finals in Stockholm.